5 hectares. That's all it took. Somewhere in southern Spain, on a small fenced-off plot, a crew started digging into dirt so hard it had to be broken apart like concrete. Nobody watching them believed it would work. Today, that same 5-hectare experiment has reached more than 80 countries across 6 continents, and it started because one family refused to accept that an 1,100-hectare farm called La Junquera in the region of Murcia, Spain, was already dead. Here's the part that should stop you. The village right next to that farm, also named La Junquera, has a population of 0, and has since the 1970s. It's still on Spain's own registry of abandoned settlements today, alongside more than 3,000 other ghost towns nationwide. Soil scientists who studied ground like this had a word for what they found: irreversible. So here's the question this video actually answers. If soil scientists themselves called this land a closed case, how did one family, no funding, no ecology degree, just 5 hectares end up building the blueprint an entire global restoration movement now runs on? This is the true story of Alfonso Chico de Guzmán, a business graduate who came home in 2012 to a farm his family had owned since 1829, and John D. Liu, the filmmaker who'd already watched this exact miracle happen once before, in China. Stay with this one. The technique traces back to a personal tragedy in 1944 Australia, and the number waiting at the end should be impossible. 80+ countries, 1 plough, 1 farm. Before its last residents left, La Junquera held about 120 people families who grew grain, tended goats, and lit an 18th century chapel for Sunday Mass. One by one, they emigrated to Cartagena, to Murcia City, to anywhere with a factory job, while the land kept getting ploughed by bigger machines chasing smaller yields. It's not a story unique to one village. It's the story of nearly 3/4 of an entire country. Spain's own Ministry for Ecological Transition has put a number on it. 74 to 75% of the country's entire landmass now sits at risk of desertification. Drive through the Altiplano Estepario, the high, dry plateau where Murcia, Granada, and Almería quietly meet, and you'll see why. Mile after mile of almond and olive trees, planted in perfectly straight rows, stripped of every weed, every shrub, every blade of anything that isn't the crop itself. Farmers here till the soil 5 or 6 times a year to kill competing plants. But stripped soil has no roots to hold it together. Expose it to enough sun and wind, and organic matter collapses below 1%. Rain stops sinking in. It just runs, taking the topsoil with it, straight toward the Mediterranean. Across this landscape, researchers with the Alvalau Restoration Alliance have measured losses of up to 20 tons of fertile soil per hectare, every single year. And in 2014, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization did the math on what that meant globally. At current rates, the planet had roughly 60 harvests left before its topsoil simply ran out. For decades, the response was always the same: more chemical fertilizer, more irrigation pulled from underground aquifers, more government subsidies to keep dying farms alive one more season. None of it addressed the actual wound. Spain's own land registry counted over 2 million hectares of abandoned farmland by 2019 alone. Large restoration programs had been tried here before, and shelved. La Junquera's fields were held up as a textbook case of land too far gone to save, which made what happened next either a miracle or something the textbooks had gotten wrong. Alfonso Chico de Guzmán wasn't a soil scientist, and he wasn't an ecologist. Business administration, university in Boston, Massachusetts, that was his training. The farm had belonged to his family since 1829, when his ancestor Diego Chico de Guzmán Figueroa bought it during a land sell-off known as the Desamortización de Diego. For generations, La Junquera had grown esparto grass and hemp, shipped down to the port of Cartagena, where it became rope and sail canvas for the ships built there. By 1940, all of that had narrowed down to a single crop: wheat, and more wheat, tilled the same way every year. When Alfonso came home in 2012, his father walked him out to the fields and pointed at what was left: pebbles, compacted dust, a shrinking bank account, man to man, standing on land that had fed 5 generations. The message was simple, and it wasn't hopeful. "Land's finished," his father told him. "Same as everyone else's around here." Alfonso didn't argue. Instead, he asks something else. Had anyone actually tried anything different, or had they just kept doing the same thing harder? Nobody had a good answer. So he started reading permaculture forums, obscure soil science papers, anything that mentioned dry, degraded, seemingly dead land coming back to life somewhere else on Earth. Somewhere on the other side of Europe, a filmmaker who'd already witnessed this exact miracle once before was quietly building something new, and was about to hear about a farm in Murcia. That filmmaker was John D. Liu. In 1995, the World Bank had sent him to China's lowest plateau, a region so eroded, so yellow and lifeless, that farmers there had lived on the edge of famine for generations. Liu spent years filming its transformation, terraces, check dams, tree planting, and one radical decision to stop the grazing, stop the tilling, and let the land breathe. 10 years later, an area roughly the size of Belgium had turned green again. Liu never went back to ordinary filmmaking. He made hope in a changing climate in 2009 and green gold in 2012, and somewhere in between, he became convinced of something that sounded almost mystical. Degraded land isn't dead. It's dormant. It's waiting for someone to reverse the exact mistake that killed it. By 2016, Liu was building a global network to test that idea, farm by farm, and in April of 2017, he found his first patch of ground 5 hectares on the edge of a dying Spanish village called La Junquera. Camp Altiplano opened that May, the very first ecosystem restoration camp on the planet. Liu brought in restoration designers Daniel Halsey and Ramis Kent to draw up the plan. And the plan hinged on a technique invented decades earlier, on the other side of the world, out of a personal tragedy. In 1944, on a property outside Sydney called Nevalan, a grass fire killed the brother-in-law of an Australian named P.A. Yeomans. Grief pushed Yeomans toward an obsession. Never let dry land be this vulnerable again. Through the 1950s, he developed something called keyline design, and a tool to go with it, a subsoiling plow that doesn't flip the earth over the way a normal plow does. It slices deep and narrow, cracking open compacted ground without destroying its structure, then lets water follow those cracks sideways along the natural contour of a slope instead of straight downhill. 70 years after Yeomans buried his own grief in that invention, his design showed up on La Junquera's cracked, cement-hard fields. Alfonso watched the machine cut its first line into ground his family had farmed for 5 generations. Nobody could say, yet, if it would work. Around that same time, a young Dutch graduate student named Janniek Schoonhoven arrived to study the transformation for her own thesis. She never left. She married Alfonso, and today she runs the farm's Regeneration Academy, training the next generation of restorers. The first swales went in across those 5 hectares, cut along the land's natural curves instead of the straight industrial lines every neighbouring farm used. Ponds were dug at the bottom of the valley to catch whatever rain came, and for a while, almost nothing visibly changed. This is dry country, where 10 months can pass without a single drop of rain. Neighbouring farmers, still ploughing their almond rows in straight monoculture lines, watched Alfonso plant weeds on purpose rosemary, lavender thyme between histories, and assumed the business graduate from Boston had lost his mind. Half a world away, in California, the industry approach never changed. Keep pumping groundwater to grow the crop, whatever the cost. It takes roughly a gallon of water to grow a single almond there, and multiplied across an industry that supplies about 80% of the world's almonds, the arithmetic turns brutal fast. By the 2020s, California's almond orchards alone were drinking more than 1 trillion gallons of water a year, sinking the very ground beneath them as aquifers emptied. Spain's own rainfall was becoming just as unpredictable, violent, concentrated bursts, replacing the old, gentle patterns, the same kind of extreme downpour that would go on to devastate Valencia in October of 2024, dumping years' worth of rain onto hardened ground in a single day. Land like that has nowhere for the water to go, which was exactly the problem La Junquera's swales and keyline cuts had been built to solve. The only question left was whether 5 quiet, stubborn hectares could mean anything at all against 1,100 hectares of dying farmland, and against a whole region sliding toward the same fate. The answer arrived slowly, then all at once. Within a few seasons, the 5 experimental hectares were holding visibly more moisture than the untouched land around them. Native vegetation came back on its own between the swales, so La Junquera scaled the exact same principles across its full 1,100 hectares keyline cuts, contour ponds, cover crops, and almond rows interplanted with rosemary, lavender, sage, and thyme. An old new system farmers here now call the almendrehesa. The herbs repel pests and pull in pollinators. Their roots fix nitrogen for free. And because the farm no longer depends on one single crop, a bad almond year doesn't have to mean a bad year. Period. The lavender and rosemary oil still sell. By 2019, a farmer-owned company called La Almendrehesa had 21 shareholder farms and 8 partners managing over 1,600 hectares under the same system. Today, more than 60 ponds and over 10 kilometers of swales hold water across the farm. The idea didn't stay on one farm. Alfonso was already part of something bigger. Back in 2014, a Dutch restoration group called Common Land had helped launch a regional alliance called Al, a name built from the first letters of 3 struggling districts: Altiplano de Granada, Los Vélez, and Alto Almanzora. Alfonso would go on to become its president. Today, that alliance spans close to 1 million hectares and includes more than 170 farming families, many now applying keyline principles first proven on his 5 hectares. Camp Altiplano, that original 5-hectare experiment, became something bigger too. From that one plot, the ecosystem restoration communities movement has grown to more than 80 camps, across more than 30 countries, on 6 continents. Back at La Junquera itself, the change is measured in people, not just soil. Where 1 or 2 workers once scraped by on a dying wheat farm, roughly 20 now work the land year-round, alongside volunteers and students who cycle through for months at a time. The most recent local census recorded 32 couples living in the area in a valley that, within living memory, had been emptying out for good. La Junquera, the village itself, still sits in ruins. Its name still appears on Spain's list of the abandoned. But maybe that's the wrong ending to look for. The land around those ruins, the same cement-hard ground that scientists once called finished, that the textbooks said couldn't return, is alive again, because one family refused to accept what everyone else had already agreed was true. Something to sit with. How many places in your own life have you already written off as finished simply because everyone around you stopped trying? The desert wasn't lying. It was just waiting for someone to stop plowing it the same way and start listening to what the water actually wanted to do. If this story moved something in you, hit like, drop your own theory in the comments, and share it with one person who still believes dead ground stays dead, because somewhere right now, another 5 hectares are waiting for their Alfonso. Subscribe and stay close. The next impossible place is already being restored.